right, thanks very much. All right, before we get started, I want a quick show of hands. Who in the room works for government? All right, NGOs, private companies. Okay, great mix. I want to start with a little bit of a confession. I am a recovering politician. I spent 8 years as an elected official. I was Secretary of State in my home state of Missouri, and there was nothing that caused me to lose more sleep in 8 years in office than the rollout of some new technology project. Because I didn't know what was going on. I'm a lawyer, I didn't know what questions to ask. I'm sitting in Jefferson City, and things always ended up over budget, over time, or just didn't work. So how is it that it happens this way so much in government? And I know we have at least one mayor in the room, but I don't know if we all remember, in the olden days, it used to be that a mayor's competence was judged by what? Whether the snow got plowed, right? And if the snow doesn't get plowed, you're from Chicago, remember that mayor that lost because the snow didn't get plowed in time. But today, you gotta do more than plow the snow. Today, people's expectations, they walk around with these little devices that are delightful. You can order a pair of shoes as you walk down the street, and it's at your house the next day. And the gap between government service delivery and what we have in our everyday lives is huge. And my view is that impacts people's trust in government generally. The question is, why does it have to be that way? Why is it so hard and so expensive and so prone to failure? To me, it boils down to just one word. Wait for it. It's procurement. Yeah. Now, before your eyes glaze over and you reach for your phone and start to check your emails because you think this is so horrible and boring, let me just tell you something else. There was this study that looked at 10 years of failures of government IT projects over $10 million. And I want to do a little show of hands again. The choices are, I'm talking about failure rates. What do you think? Choices are 34%, 64%, or 94%. All right, who's for 34% failure rate on government IT projects over 10 million? Raise your hands. Oh, come on, people. You got, all right, 64%. 94%. Oh, you guys are pretty smart. The answer is 94% failure rate. It's an unbelievable statistic. 6% of government IT projects over $10 million succeed. 42% just have to be started over again. They're such a mess. Now, here's the deal. There are smart people in government. There are smart people in technology. What is broken about all of this? What's broken is the government is a lousy buyer of stuff. It's even worse when it comes to technology because you don't have tech talent in-house generally because you're so strapped for money to be able to even know what's a good choice or a bad choice. So the best way I try to describe this to folks is it's almost as if every time you wanted a new shirt, you had to go through the hassle and the red tape like you were buying a house. Really, that's what it's like. It's so cumbersome, and you got to go through all of this. And so what happens is you want to go through it as few times as possible. So that leads to big contracts that only big companies can look at, and all too often big failures. And so I just want to go through 6 pro tips today of what you can do right now to make this turn out better. The first thing is to rethink this idea of risk. Everybody always says, oh, people are risk averse in government. Well, it turns out it's not they're risk averse. They don't like new risk. Remember that 94% failure? If you do it the same way, you 94% of the chance you're going to fail, but they keep doing it this way. Rethink risk. That means you got to change the requirements. You got to stop thinking that you can offload all the risk to your vendor. You can't. It's the government's responsibility. It's always going to be your responsibility, so don't pretend you can outsource it. Instead, think about how to be user-centered. Think about how to be outcomes-focused. And here's a happy little phrase you can use if you're not a technologist. Tell your vendors you want demos, not memos. You want working code, not long strategy documents about what working code might look like. The other thing is you got to stop big contracts. Just stop. Don't do them anymore. Break them up into smaller pieces. that deliver value to your end users much more quickly. And here's another one. Retain control over your data and your APIs. In the end, all of this smart city stuff is a data play and how you can use that for the public good. If you, for expediency or to save money, let other people and companies take the data and keep it, and you have to buy it back from them, you are not looking out for the public good. Second thing, switching costs. We know in technology everything is going to change. We know policy is going to change. You want vendors to be able to change. Plan for those changes from the beginning. Don't take the cheapest way. Don't take the free thing and get locked in. Understand that vendor lock-in long-term is going to be problematic for you. Proprietary solutions are going to be problematic for you, and figure out how instead you can look at open source tools that can be more flexible and reusable and secure going forward. And again, whatever you do, data and APIs, keep control of those things. The third thing you can do is share and learn and collaborate from your colleagues. One of my biggest frustrations when I was in office was like having to reinvent the wheel all the time. I was sitting in Jefferson City, Missouri. We didn't have the tech talent y'all have in Denver. And I was reinventing the wheel on stuff that was happening in 50 different states. There are 19,000 cities. Y'all don't need to have to reinvent the wheel. You can share and collaborate. It makes sense not only for the cities, but it makes sense for the businesses as well that are trying to do business with government, because if you have some shared standards and regulations, it's lower burden of a cost on them to comply with those. The fourth thing is new vendors. Go find them. There are so many great vendors out there. We have the best tech in the world in the United States, and yet they're not working in government. Why are they not working in government? Procurement. It stinks. Fix your procurement rules and get those folks attracted to working in government. Number 5, tech talent. Get some in-house. This isn't going away. Like, it's just going to get to be a bigger deal, and you might as well figure out how to get some tech talent in-house to help you with that. Finally, leadership. Like, none of this is going to happen. Change is hard everywhere. Change is especially hard in government. None of it's going to happen unless the leadership in your communities stands up and gives air cover for that. There's a big tendency to want to do study after study. My suggestion is just pick a thing and get started. It's amazing how much that you'll learn by just doing that. So anyway, that's the bottom line. The 6 things you can do, super practical. Stop the big contracts, plan for change from the outset, keep your APIs and your data, share, learn, and collaborate, get your new vendors, get tech on your team, and get your leadership engaged. And if you do those things, I can assure you that you will sleep better at night and that you'll deliver better for your citizens. So thank you all very much.